But it also means, of course, is that the Biden family, including Dr. Jill Biden, will be moving out of the White House, and I'm afraid they will never be seen again because he is not fit to run as president, and he certainly wasn't fit to be president. Just before we speak to Ladona Harvey, co-presenter of Arizona's great big morning news show on KTAR in Phoenix, let's have a look at some of the best bits of President Joe Beijing Biden.
And now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. He's going to beat President Putin. President Zelensky. I'm so focused on beating Putin, we got to worry about it. Anyway, Mr. President.
I'm better.
You are a hell of a lot better. I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she was not qualified to be president. So let's start there.
By the way, I'm proud to be, as I said, the first vice president, first black woman, served with a black president. I'm proud of the role of the first black woman in the Supreme Court. There's just so much that we can do.
If they just paid 24%, 25%, either one of those numbers, they've raised $500 billion, I should say, in a 10-year period, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare.
Joe, you did such a great job. You answered every question. You knew all the facts. And let me ask the crowd, what did Trump do? Why?
Yeah, Dr. Jill. Yeah, you sure she's a doctor? You know, unbelievable stuff, right? Well done, Joe. You answered all the questions. You knew all the answers. Yeah, great. Let's talk to Ladona Harvey. I mean, I suppose there's a little part of us all, Ladona, that will miss Joe Biden and some of those rather ludicrous performances that he put in. We didn't even include him falling up the stairs on Air Force One or falling flat on his face or falling off his bike. I mean, those were just the sort of a few of the gaffes that we could come up with.
Well, unfortunately, there were plenty of gaps, especially through this presidency. Now, this is a guy who's been in public service for 50 years. He has known virtually, I mean, he started on a school board in Delaware. So he started at the smallest level of politics. And someone who has had an opportunity through politics, through that 50 years, to make significant changes to the United States, changes that would help American people. And through that 50 years, he didn't do that. You know, that's the unfortunate part is you look at his swan song, his speech from night before last, and he said, you know, we're in danger of having an oligarchy. We are in danger because the rich people are going to keep getting richer, and he's not wrong. But the fact is that he was in Congress for I don't even know how many years.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm just creasing up a little bit. Sorry, because we're just watching him walking across the beach there, where he seems to be struggling a bit to raise his feet above the sand.
Right.
Sorry.
I mean, it's tough. You know, I take care of my dad who has Alzheimer's, and when I look at Joe Biden, I see, you know, little bits and pieces of my dad, and it makes me really sad. And I wonder, who thought that it was a good idea to put this man as the figurehead of the United States? I can't for the life of me figure it out.
Sorry, but that's him falling flat on his face. It was really unkind, actually. I mean, I blame his wife, Jill. But she was still pushing for him. I mean, she had to be dragged kicking and screaming out of the White House, right? She was still pushing for him to be president for the next 4 years. I mean, can you imagine how bad it would have got?
I can't imagine, because he is not fit, and that's the saddest, I think, part of it. There are parts of his political career that, you know, we're going to look back on and we're going to think there had to be a point at which somebody knew. Yeah. And you can put that squarely at the feet of the Democratic Party, Dr. Jill Biden, and even Joe Biden himself, who at some point you know that you're not functioning the way that you should.
And the worrying thing
yet,
as well, Ladona, is that, you know, the country has been in the midst of all manner of difficulties. You know, there's been the whole Middle East problem. There's been, you know, the war in Ukraine. There's been difficulties around the US economy. And, you know, in relations with Canada, I mean, in relations with the UK, I mean, there's been so much going on in the last year and a half. And you have to wonder how much of it he's even aware of.
Well, and that's why presidents have people, but I don't know that he is functioning at the kind of level that it would take to be able to diplomatically deal with some of these issues, or perhaps non-diplomatically deal with some of these issues. Yeah. It's just, he is not functioning as a fully functioning human being, and it's a little bit heartbreaking.
It is, and I can understand why you feel like that as well, especially with your dad. But let's talk about Donald Trump. He's going to be the new president as of Monday. He's got an awful lot of people coming from different countries, foreign leaders who wouldn't normally be there. But he's decided to sort of, you know, reach out to various different, mostly right-wing leaders, actually, from Brazil, from Argentina, from Italy. He's got the Chinese coming, I think, as well. It's going to be a very different Trump administration. I think you and I have said this before, than the one in 2016. I think he's smarter now. I think he's more mature about the job, and I think he knows more about what he wants to do.
Well, and you know, consider that from the minute that he walks in, he's a lame duck. Yeah. Meaning that he's got 4 years. He doesn't have to run for anything. Right. He can't run for president again. So, you know, this is really the time period where he has the ability to do a lot. Right. He has a Congress that is likely to swing his direction, although there are a few outliers in there. So, you know, some of the things that he wants to get done, he can perhaps get done. Right.
Yeah, I think that makes him less of a lame duck in a way, because it means he's actually doesn't have to answer to anyone, and he can pretty much do exactly as he pleases. And depending on what legacy he wants, he doesn't have to listen to people saying, "Oh, but if you do that, it might make you a bit unpopular, and therefore you won't get re-elected." So, you know, that's that. But we'll look forward to it here in the UK, because it's about time we had somebody who's a bit less woke than we've had in the White House for the last 4 years. So we're very excited about it. What about the Obamas, though? That's the big story hitting the papers here this morning. Both the Daily Mail and the Telegraph have got on the front page what is going on with the Obamas' marriage. Lots of questions being asked about Michelle Obama not being seen in public with Barack since about August. Talk of him possibly having some kind of affair with Jennifer Aniston. What's going on?
An affair with Jennifer Aniston?
Yeah.
Well, that would be wild. You know, political marriages are political marriages. They're unlike marriages for you and me. Yeah. It's a very different situation. I don't know, obviously, what's going on with the Obamas. However, it would not surprise me if they lived very separate lives. I think that happens a lot in politics, because the expediency is you stay married and it looks good. And that's all there is. They seem to be a pretty powerful couple together, but at this point, they may be just sick and tired of each other.
Yeah.
Well, which happens.
Well, right. I mean, apparently she's not going to be at the inauguration on Monday either, and she let it be known apparently during the summer that she wasn't that happy to be showing up around the election. She didn't really want to take part in all of that. She obviously, I don't think she likes Donald Trump very much, and you know, she, as you say, is more interested in doing her own thing. And he, of course, is intrinsically a politician and will always be a politician.
Sure. Yeah. She, as a matter of fact, has been pretty clear about not liking politics all that much. I mean, I think she kind of had to be dragged kicking and screaming into the political spotlight. I don't think she likes it. I don't think Melania Trump likes it. I think she does the very minimum that she has to in order to, you know, put forth that front. And then she just wants to live her own life. And that happens a lot with political wives and or husbands who just shun the spotlight. You married the politician, you get the politician.
Well, this is the thing. It's like women who complain that they, you know, their husband's unfaithful to them, and he's like, you married a footballer. You know, what did you expect? She apparently admitted in a 2022 panel discussion, though, that for a decade, when their daughters were younger, she hated her husband. She said, I couldn't stand him. I know how she feels.
I think a lot of married people feel that way when they're dealing with little kids. I don't think that's unusual. Yeah. It's not unusual for relationships to go through those kinds of periods, and especially when you add that political spotlight. the pressure must be enormous, especially to just put up that front that, I don't despise the person that's standing next to me, even though right now I want to rip out his hair.
Yeah,
her
exactly
hair,
right.
Whatever hair.
And apparently one of the things that she doesn't like is what happened at Jimmy Carter's funeral, where Barack Obama and Donald Trump appeared to be having a very friendly and quite amused conversation together.
Right. And why would you even care? It's two former presidents. This is a sort of a circle of people that is A, quite small, and B, they know things that nobody else in the world does.
Right.
They have handled things that nobody in the world has handled. And many times you'll find presidents on separate sides of the aisle become great friends following their presidencies with the other presidents because they know and they understand.
Yeah, absolutely right. Well, it's going to be fascinating to see what happens on Monday. We're really looking forward to it here, as I say, and I'm sure we'll have plenty of opportunity to talk to you, Ladona, about it. So have a very good weekend and look forward to the new era, as it is, the second coming of Donald J. Trump.